the Palestinian conversation has been here for a very long time. As a matter of fact, with this Gaza issue that we have seen, I mean, all of the, if you like, escalating crisis that is in Gaza, the calls for a two-state solution has become even louder, because for many analysts and political stakeholders across the world, that is the ultimate resolution that can put this whole matter to bed. But the question is, are we on the verge of seeing that happen now, especially when you look at what we are seeing with a couple of nations in the last few weeks, starting with Canada, then we saw Australia, we've heard from France, the most recent being the United Kingdom, saying that they have now formally recognized the state of Palestine. But that becomes very interesting, because the United Nations General Assembly has just started this week in New York, and by the way, we have our Vice President Kashim Shettima there representing his principal, President Bola Tinubu. Now, this, year's edition of the UNGA, that is the United Nations General Assembly, is seen by many as one that will revolve almost 100% about the Palestinian case. But whatever that may be, I mean, regardless of how it turns out, is it possible to have this two-state solution? Will this recognition of a Palestinian state by these nations see the light of day if, with a big if, the United States does not throw its weight behind it? Of course, we know what the U.S. position has been as far as this issue is concerned. I'm joined this morning by our in-house analyst, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, to help us see what exactly is unfolding right in our eyes. Prof, thank you for coming on the program.
Yeah, good morning.
I'd like us to begin with these announcements by different countries, especially across Europe, announcing one at a time their recognition of a state of Palestine. Did it come to you as a shock at all, or it was something you have long expected?
No, it never come to me as a shock, because there was a depriving factor all over the years that has stopped them to recognize the state of Palestine, even at the time of Arafat.
Right.
Good enough, I think they are coming to bear this thought because of some other internal crisis that has taken place over time right now. Apart from these, people are getting aware of the schemes of the people. It's for a long time now. So that schemes and the challenges security has actually brought about them adjusting to accept the state of Palestine, whatever. The security challenges, the crisis that has emanated from most conflicts all over the world, and knowing that the Israelis that they are protecting are actually not the original Israelis, but settlers, has come to see that the economic dimension, gain and profit and political maglings that were happening within the Israel is no longer as profitable to some nations as it used to be. That is the stage in which some of them has to adjust to fit into the process and the cry of the people of Palestine. That is where we are as at now.
I spoke with an academic a little over a month ago, and he told me that all of these announcements will amount to nothing ultimately, because he said it's a bargaining chip that these countries are only pushing because of the tariffs, the neck-breaking tariffs, I probably should say, that President Trump is imposing on them. Isn't that just a political agenda to serve the interest of a few nations as against actually and genuinely pushing the interest of the Palestinian people?
Well, I don't want to disagree, and I also don't want to agree with some such assumption, because the posting of the position of tax by Donald Trump will not have changed anything entirely. The position of Turks is different. What palliative would Palestine or Israel offer them? As far as there is no palliative that Israel or Palestine will offer them, it becomes a non-issue. You have to say, okay, because the United States of America has imposed some certain tax and levy on the people, we are going to get some rebate from Palestine or Israel. So we want to actually go to Palestine,
right,
since they are giving us more better leverage. So is it technology that Palestine is going to offer to the world? Is it science? Is it engineering? Is it production, or what? So as far as Palestine is not going to offer that to the world, I don't think we have to look at it as another game. So it is not a political jingle.
All right, let's talk about what is, what we are likely going to be expecting now at the, of course, you and I know, Prof, that the United Nations General Assembly for this year is on. We have seen Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian people, come to this same platform, the UNGA, almost every other year to talk about this issue. People say he took it over from where the former leader, Arafat, that you mentioned a while ago, left off. He has talked about this severally. Do you see these years' debates and all of the, if you like, conversations and engagements centering around the Palestinian issue?
Well, I don't think that was one of the agendas of the United Nations General Assembly, but it can be brought up, and even when it is brought up, there's going to be a draw line. An United States of America will vehemently reject any submission made by the Palestinians. So if they are going to vehemently oppose any submission, then some other link nations out of fiat or political affiliation will also not support Palestine if America has opposed, and definitely America is going to oppose.
What's the implication if America opposes? Will it still fly, regardless of the fact that we have a bunch of nations now throwing their weight behind the Palestinians?
Yeah, you know, normally UK, for example, and some other Europe-granted nations will also stand behind Palestine. But then the standing will it echo well, knowing that the house now is divided among the G7, G9, G15 and the rest. So these people has a kind of synergy that other people don't have, and all those nations are now regarded in the United Nations General Assembly as the weak nations, which every other African country is among the weak nations. A larger percentage of the countries in Asia are the weak nation. If you go back to the other arms of the continents, there are also a lot of them are very weak nation. The only country that is a bit recognized is Australia. So you come back to Europe. Even in Europe, we have also the weak nations that they don't take, or they take for granted. So except these weak nations becomes a storyline and join the thread of things as a fox, they are still going to be placed where they are. That is just the issue with American. A lot of people has taken American as the lion of the people, and if they take them as the lion of the people, everybody who wants to, in the absence of the lion, you take a stroll. When you see the lion, you want to align with rules or push forward. That is where we are.
When you look at all the indices, I mean, all the indications, all of the elements you have seen, the journey so far, do you see this state of Palestine working at this point? Do you see it becoming a reality?
Yes, it can only be a reality if one factor is put in place. If they have been able to define the rules, then they define the rules, and they define the obligations, and they defined the settings of the Palestine and Israel. Then there is going to be a global peace. But as far as there is a deprivation, and no rules or laws are put in place, no conflict resolution, no peace and crisis resolution, then there is still going to be a lot of problem. Because why is it so? They are benefiting from the science, engineering and technology of Israel. And who profit more from the science, engineering and technology of Israel is American. So American, knowing that some trillions of dollars comes out of Israel every year to them, scientifically, in engineering and technology, they are not ready to resolve the issues.
Let's look at a few other factors now, Prof, before we take a break. If you look at the Palestinian issue, it has been complicated over the years. We need to have a two-state solution. That's the ultimate resolution we can find to this problem. But now, a war, if you like, broke out between the Israelis and the Palestinians, which of course some people have said is not actually between the Israeli government and the Palestine government. It has actually been between Israel and Hamas. Does Hamas complicate this further? Because during this negotiation of truce and ceasefire and what have you, there was the very extensive talk about how that Hamas needs to leave Israel, because leave Gaza, because Israel has said time and again that the reason it keeps bombarding Gaza is that it wants to ensure it flushes out every element of Hamas. Is it possible to extricate Hamas from the picture?
Sometimes when people talk about Hamas and Israel, and that is the excuse Israel used to bombard the Palestinians, I just laugh over it. Who are the Hamas? Who weaponized them? Who trained them? Who financed them? It's like when American told us of Al-Qaeda, which we know were actually a puppet and baby of the Americans. The same thing, the Hamas. To extension, what we are seeing here that we call the Boko Harams are all attitudes of Americans. So what is America telling us?
So you're saying that what goes around comes around?
Yeah, Hamas is just an attitude of America, financed by them, actually financed by them, trained by them, weaponized by them. There is no denial about that, and they know it. So that is why Hamas cannot amass Israel. They tell them the targeted point where they can go to, and from there the Israeli army will come in and push them out and face the Palestine. Why America is at that point stealing? So unless the intelligent gateway, even in Nigeria, everybody knows that America, all intelligent group on security and the rest knows that America intrude into our crisis. So they go to where America goes to where they benefit. It is an issue of gains and profits. So when deliberations goes to the table and negotiations are not working in American favor, they come up with the principles of contempt. So because they won't go below exploitation. So when they want to exploit you, they use any tactics to exploit.
As it stands today, people have said, well, let's have a two-state solution and move on. Israel doesn't support that, evidently. What do you reckon could be the reason Israel is not aligned with the calls for a two-state solution?
Yeah, they will not allow it because Israel is another chapter of themselves.
Another chapter of themselves?
Yes. So I am a settler and I've taken possession of some part of Abuja, for example. Are you now asking me to have a two-state solution when I feel that if I don't discuss my position now, history will throw me out? So definitely I will not accept a two-state solution, because the present people in Israel that we call the Israelites are actually settlers, not the real Israelites.
Not the ones from the diaspora that returned back?
They were not in the diaspora that returned back. They are pure settlers.
So they are not organically Israelites or Israelites?
No, they are not.
Yeah, I think that's a historical perspective that many persons probably are not very clear on, or do not even have the slightest idea about, quite frankly. But again, there are those who have said that at this point, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has become an albatross in this war. That if you had a different Prime Minister, perhaps one who is a bit more cool-headed, level-headed, maybe more on the side of reasoning, this issue would have been resolved. But the PM, Netanyahu, has insisted that Hamas must unconditionally release all the hostages it's holding. Is that a fair argument?
If you said Hamas should release the hostages they are holding, how many people are Israel holding as hostages?
From the Palestinian side?
Yes. So if you are going to play a game of chess, you have to know who is the king, the queen, the knight, and the rest. So the politics between Hamas, as I said, and Israel is being determined by American. Benjamin living not as president of Israel today, or he left as a president of Israel today, anybody taking over must play that game. So if that game don't have any level-headed way, it is a conflict and has to be resolved by the entire people. So we go back to history, knowing that, just as I said, knowing that you are a settler, what will you do? It is just like in Nigeria today. Well, let me use the Benin Kingdom and the Ife Kingdom and the Oduduwa story coming back. Today, the Isha man will tell you he migrated from Benin. You understand me?
Right.
So if you migrated from Benin, was that land fallow? The land was not fallow. That means that there were people there, you understand me,
right,
before you migrated. There are some part of the Yoruba land says that they migrated from Benin. So you now start asking yourself a question. You are not speaking the real Benin language as an Asian man. So how did you migrate from Benin? You are not speaking, as an Yoruba man, you are not speaking the real Benin language. So how did you migrate from Benin? You understand me? Meaning that there was a language, there were settlers, and you are settlers, and you are imposing yourself on the people. So going down history, you understand me, there is a lot of narratives that we are not telling ourselves.
Okay, well, maybe we're going to dig into some of those narratives within the next few minutes, but we want to take a break. When we return, we'll look at all the efforts that have been put into negotiations the last 1 year and counting regarding the conflict between Israel and Hamas and what may happen in this regard going forward. All right, let's turn to a different strand in this conversation. Prof, we have seen the neighbors within the region. I mean, countries like Egypt, we've seen Qatar, for example, a number of them, all right, weigh in on this issue, trying to negotiate, trying to broker peace, calling for truce. At least let's have ceasefire. That way we can have, if you like, an ample window for negotiations and maybe to lay all our issues on the table and things like that. As it stands today, have those efforts borne any fruits at all?
Very well. When you call for negotiation, what are the pillars of negotiation? What did you set in? What are the key points of negotiation? Because no country, no nation is going to negotiate from a weak point.
Right.
So when you are calling from negotiation, when we say negotiation, it's one of the security parameters under political security. So as a nation like Nigeria, negotiating, we have a negotiation with Cameroon where we concede Bakassi to Cameroon. If you are going to negotiate, are you going to negotiate from your weak point? I'm not discussing the issue of Bakassi here, even as we negotiated from a very weak point.
We did, right?
Yes.
And someone like you probably blame former President Olusegun Obasanjo, or don't you?
Yes, I did. So when you negotiate from a weak point, you now have a lot of problems because you did not carry the nation along at the point of your negotiation. And you sign documents that are not supposed to be endorsed in any way, because so there must be a blueprint for negotiation. Negotiation has to follow rules and policies gathered in principles of negotiation. So what are the basis of negotiation? If I'm going to cease this to you, what is my benefit of ceasing, and why am I ceasing it to you? So what do I have as my reserve game? Because if these are not drawn down as the basic concept of negotiation, then you are negotiating from a very weak point. And the other person will take due advantage of that.
Due advantage, not undue advantage.
No, due advantage of that, not undue advantage. I don't want to call it undue advantage, because when you say undue advantage, you are already conceding to every principles and concept. But it's due advantage of that, because what you don't have, you are taking. What you are not entitled to, you are taking. So it's due advantage because you are already hand twisted. So don't negotiate. Just take it that you have one B, A, B, C, D to yourself.
So who is negotiating from a place of weakness now? Is it Israel or Hamas?
Hamas is not the state of Palestine.
But how is it that Israel continues to pay more attention, far more attention to Hamas than the state of Palestine?
It's just like today, when you ask the Office of the National Security Advisor, what are the challenges of our security today? And they're telling you the bandits. So at what point do we have any problem with the bandits?
It's exactly the same thing, sir, because in the case of Israel, this Gaza conflict, we are made to believe that Hamas is the arm wing of the state of Palestine.
No. The Palestinians have their own army. So how can they be the armed wing of the Palestinians? What we are just painting is just what I've told you. You asked the Office of the National Security Advisor what is the issues with our security problems, and they will tell you the bandits. So when the bandits come here now and say we have a conflict with Niger, and the bandits are going to negotiate with Niger with us when we have the federal government?
But again, we can't put them side by side, because even the Palestinian people and the government there have never denounced Hamas. They have never had a problem with what Hamas does, for example.
Have we denied the bandits?
Of course, we have been fighting them. We have spoken out against them unequivocally on many platforms from several
quarters. Have you seen any Hamas chief on national TV in Palestine talking of negotiation?
So why is the Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas in particular, not making the position clear as to what role Hamas plays in his government?
You see, there is one thing you are not understanding here. There is what we call security and the press, which part of it is propaganda. How many propaganda machineries or system do Palestine have? Who wants to listen to the Palestine in the terms of things in the network internationally? This is what you have to understand. Here we have a lot of propaganda machines, both private and government owned, or the state owned, and that of the individuals. There, no one. Has anybody tuned to Radio Palestine or Palestine TV to watch their program and their process? No. So they are only feeling the weight because of some interest groups. We can hear the voice of Palestine today because of some other interest group, which is like United Arab Emirates, like Qatar, like Iraq, like Iran, and others, neighboring countries like Turkey and the rest. If not, nobody would have listened to Palestine any day. Palestine by now will have been silent. So when you say the Hamas, I have said, are being financed. And I'm saying it without any atom of apology, are being financed, trained, and weaponized by the United States of America. And we all know that Israel too are also a brainchild of America. So what are we talking about?
I'm going to ask you this question with a big if. If the United States were to aligned with these other nations now calling for, who have now recognized the state of Palestine. What option does that leave the Israeli people, the Israeli government?
The principle of concept or the rules of engagement, American will only go back to the drawing board with Israel to know how to put these things at bay. It is an issue of a key player and a lower player. So do we have any way to negotiate with these other countries, and what do we put on the table for them? Because it is one thing to accept, and it is one thing to make a principal rule for the people. So if they have accepted to say the state of Palestine must be recognized, it is not yet documented. So before the time of documentation, could there be any renegotiation? The answer is yes.
How complicated would that process be? Because it appears we're just scratching the surface at this point.
There is no complication. The whole nations, the whole world is being ruled by principles, policies, and concepts, and it's being ruled by negotiation. So we are all talking of, when we are not talking of security economy, then what are you bringing down to the table, and how does it benefit my country? So if there is a benefit, am I entitled to those benefits? And what are the implications? What are the risk index? So when we are looking at the implications and the risk index, then we can follow up to see whether they negatively affect us or they positively affect us. So if they are positively affecting us, then there is no way that we are not going to give way to the practice.
All right, let's wrap it up.
So it is what American and Israel is going to put down to negotiate with France, Germany, UK, and other interest nations that is going to form the policy concept.
In the event that this recognition goes through, the state of Palestine comes to fruition, how much work will that government need to do? You and I are not ignorant, Prof, of the carnage, maybe that's the most appropriate word, that has been done, all right, in Gaza right now. That's not going to, the turnaround time is not going to be over one weekend, for example. Talk to us about the magnitude of damage that has been done and the amount of work needed to fix it.
Let me tell you this. Reconstruction, reintegration, and everything going to the economy and everything. But what Israelis don't understand is the resources that the Palestinians have that they have not recognized themselves. They have not discovered. But by the time the Palestinians discover it, I think the turnaround time will be very short. But if they don't discover what they have, then it's going to be a complex issue for them. But one of the grace they have, or one of the services of time they have, is the services of the neighboring nations who will come to their aids
at that point in time.
At that point in time. So if they are able to come to their aids at that point in time, it's going to be of great service to the Palestinians. And if they discover what they have in them, it will also be of benefit, and it's going to profit them. It's going to gain. They are going to gain from it.
Thank you so very much, Professor Ibrahim Abubakar, for coming to talk to us about this issue today. Global Television will continue to monitor proceedings at the United Nations General Assembly, which has started just a few days ago at the United Nations headquarters in New York, and our own dear Vice President Kashif Shettima is there on behalf of President Bola Tinubu. We'll continue to give you beat by beat updates as to what the developments are and how they reverberate across the world, and of course including here in Nigeria. We'll take a quick break now. When we return, Priscilla Obasi will engage our next guest on youth activism and its impact on strengthening democracy in a country like Nigeria. Please don't go away.